This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trend in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hello, everybody. What a busy day this is. I got up and I was reviewing my notes for my show and thought I would tell you about some fun things that you can do while you're aging. And all of a sudden the news came on and they were talking about the bombing last night. They were talking about how many children have been recovered out of over 475,000 children that are missing since all of this immigration problem of the millions of people being left and let into the country. They found 300,000 of these children and have been able to get them back to relatives, but I'm sorry, 100,000 of some of them, and 300,000 are still missing. This is one of the most atrocious things I've ever heard of, because these kids have told about people who lied about being relatives and how they took them, and they were being raped, beaten, starved, sold. It was a horrendous thing from Homeland Security and the Attorney General, the acting Attorney General. So that upset me, because who doesn't get upset over the abuse of children? And in my opinion, there are so many things wrong with this country. And I'm going to tell you what the breaking news is in a minute. We have no idea who these people were that came in, and they've scattered all over the country in hiding. We find them almost daily. They're finding people that are illegal and have come over here. And how many of them are waiting to kill us? Well, let me tell you what's going on, because they're still snatching children. They're doing horrible things. But just now, about 15 minutes ago, they broke into the news stations and said the Pentagon is on lockdown. They have found a hazardous material in there through the air vents, and they are exploring to see, testing it to see if it's a one-off or if this is indeed some kind of poisonous gas coming around. Nobody has been hurt yet, but the Pentagon is locked down. I don't know how much you know about the Pentagon. You know, it's a huge, huge building, and it was hit 9/11. Yeah, in the doorway number 5. A Pentagon has 5 sides. That's why they call it a Pentagon, why they call it the Pentagon for all of our military. And the Secretary of War is there. He has his office there. One of his offices is there. And it is locked down. There are people in it. They are, at last note, they have something on television right now. They did find some material that's being tested as we speak. All the tours of it have gone. You have to be very special to get a tour of the Pentagon anyway. It's not like going to your congressman and automatically being given a ticket, as happens in the White House. You have to be vetted. You do for the White House also. And usually, though, if you're in good standing with your congressman or your senator, you can usually get through. I have been through the White House a couple of times. and it's something you should do if you can possibly get through it. It's part of our history. And in particular, if you can get somebody to get you into the Pentagon, I'm sure it's more than fascinating. 29 acres, it's a huge, huge building. And that's where all of our defense is. I don't mean our airplanes and things, ladies and gentlemen. I mean the papers, the assignments, and where this troop is going to go and that troop's going to go and how many more do we need, and all of that thinking and all goes on at the Pentagon. Our generals are there, our admirals are there, all sorts of things. So I have the television on, and I'm going to just scoot this chair over in case I can see something. They are looking at a device that was picked up with a hazardous scent. So that's the latest on that. I do have that television on and I can see it from here. If something else comes on, I'll tell you. So today, the title of my show was Be the Vision of Vibrancy and Vitality. Well, we've been pretty vibrant this morning. And vitality, it's stimulating our health system and our brain. So we got a little of that too, but that's not how I was going to do this. So what I want to know is, how do you begin your next decade? You know, I told you I just turned 79, so I'm beginning my 80th decade. I'm finishing up my 79th after my birthday, and the next birthday will be the beginning of my 80th decade, my 8th decade, 80 years. So how I have started my new decade is by preparing for it as I'm going into it. Everything I read says, oh, everything hits you when you turn 80. You start stumbling and mumbling and doing all of these things. You don't eat properly. This could be true with some people. But if you're still taking care of yourself when you're in your late 70s, your 60s, your 70s, you can take care of you in your 80s more than likely, unless you've developed a terrible disease or unless somebody's mean to you, like your children wanting you to go into an assisted living home because they don't want you to stay at home. They want to sell that home. They want to be on their own. Now, fortunately, I don't have children like that. So I'm where I want to be right now, in very hot 110 temperature in Palm Springs, in our new little condo that I'm still working on and will be working on, I think, for the rest of my life. And it better be extended because it'll go on and on and on. I'm turning it into a little casita, the condo. It's attached, but it's small. And that's what I want to do. So that's part of the interesting thing for me, as I am looking to turn it into a little casita. So I'm using bright colors from Mexico and changing some of the flooring and the tile work and things like that. But I'm a busy, busy lady, so I haven't had time to do a lot of it. But I'm there, and the reason I'm turning it into a casita is because I'm honoring the people who live in the Coachella Valley, and particularly Cathedral City. We're living in a little town that is one of the original towns in the Coachella Valley, and it has been settled by a lot of people from Mexico. So, you know me, I love Mexico, so this was perfect for me. I love it. Now they're redoing downtown Cathedral City, and it's just smashing. It just looks fabulous. So this is the up and growing part. It hasn't been touched for a long time. For a long time, Palm Springs was being developed by going east from Palm Springs itself, going down towards the end of the Coachella Valley. So they didn't pay too much attention to Cathedral City. Now they're redoing it. I think I did a good thing. At least I love it, but it's too hot. It's 110. Fans and air conditioning, what can I say? So today I'll be looking at the air conditioner because I walked outside and it seems to be draining. Not a good sign. Okay, so believe me, when I tell you that most people are thinking the same thing, and it has to do with can they age with confidence and happiness and good health and purpose? Purpose is a really important one. Or are they going to be filled with regrets and wondering what life is all about and where did the years go? So, my husband and I were reminiscing and reflecting on our lives the other night. And I've had a life filled with joy and sadness. My childhood was pretty amazing in some regards and pretty screwed up in other regards. But how many of you did have strange childhoods? Or how many of you were in foster care or abandoned and you've gone on to succeed in life? Some people say life is what you make of it, but you have to take all of these things into consideration, and it will affect you even in adulthood. So I'm not going to dwell on that right now. I will, though. Now we have a life filled with all sorts of things. Maybe you've finished your career. Maybe you're thinking of working part-time. Maybe you're thinking of consulting in the field you're in, like perhaps you're consulting with somebody in the firm you worked for, an attorney's firm or a doctor. You never know what you might decide to do. Or you might just want to relax and take that cruise you always wanted to go on, or your trip to Europe that you want to take your kids to. We took Megan, my husband and I took Megan to Italy a few years ago, probably 10 years ago, no, that had to be more than that. My grandson's 11, so 15 years ago, something like that. So we took her to Italy because she'd never done touring around Italy. You know, she's the one who took off by herself, being the wanderer, and went all through South America and Central America by herself, which, of course, I'm a strange mother. I did not know what she was doing. I mean, I knew she was going, but she had a girlfriend she was going with. What she didn't tell me, because of course she was old enough to be by herself, but she didn't tell me she was going to be. And I had taken her and her girlfriend to the airport, so I thought they were staying together the whole time. Never dawned on me. That's a whole nother story, and maybe I'll get her to come on the show sometime and tell you about traveling as a single woman in South and Central America. I'm not talking, she has traveled all over Mexico, but I'm not talking about Mexico right now. I'm talking about the other parts of Central America going around. So it's been an exciting life for her, and it's been an exciting and stressful life for me when she's been gone. So things happen in life, and you get your grandchildren, which I have, and I'm so thrilled to have them. I have the ones that are young adults now, one graduating from high school, one deciding where he's going to be going, if he's going to go back to school. He's just turning 21 in August, and he's taken some time off, not to have fun. He's been working and discovering what he'd like to do. He's not one who wants to go sit in a four-year college, so I don't think that will be his first choice. Right now, he's leaning towards the Marines or the police force or fire force, fire engine department, fire department, or the police department. So we'll see. Any of those please me, but I'm not the one that needs to be pleased. And you should all remember that. Yes, you can give them your opinion and guide them if they ask for it, but too many people end up doing things that their parents told them to do, and they're unhappy. Now, it works out most of the time if a parent chooses something in their head because they've been hearing their kids talk about it, and they can be supportive. The worst thing to be with a kid, a child, a young adult that goes off to work during the summers or her first job is be supportive, and not just monetarily. Be supportive of what they're thinking and give them your yeses and your nos and why you think that. So that takes up a lot of our time. Now, some of you are still married, some are widowed. Unfortunately, we're hearing this more and more with our friends. And some have the grandchildren. I said I had those young adults, but I also have a 7, soon to be 8, and an 11, soon to be 12-year-old boys. 2 boys my daughter has. And it's so much fun. I just love it. I love being with my grandchildren, and hopefully I'll be with some great grandchildren if I take care of myself and not eat on a binge like I did yesterday. And we'll talk about health and nutrition in a few minutes. So, how our lives have evolved and where and what we want to do next is something you need to discuss with your partner, or if you're single, being widowed or never married or divorced or what have you. Maybe your girlfriends or your boyfriends, your men friends. I shouldn't call them boyfriends and girlfriends. Your older adult friends. What are they doing? There's all sorts of things out there where you can join these different groups. What if you didn't have time to become involved politically, and suddenly with everything that's going on in our country, you want to become more involved? Well, there's men's organizations, women's organizations, young people's organizations. You might think that Charlie Kirk's TPUSA, and now Erica's, was just about religion, but it's also about politics in one way or another, because they are very conservative. I happen to like this, but many people don't. So I'm not going to tell you that you should go out and join it or support it or anything else. I, for one, am happy to see God coming back to our country. Remember, one nation under God. So what do we want to do now? The world is new. It's new to us if you haven't traveled all over. Let me get rid of that page of notes. I've done quite a bit of traveling. I haven't done nearly as much as I want to. I have lots of things on my want list as far as traveling goes. And so one of the things I'm considering doing in my life to not pay attention to the stress in your life of growing older, I'm considering all sorts of things. Adding on a newsletter to this program, adding a book that I've been wanting to write forever. I've wanted to write a fiction book, and I wanted to write sort of a memoir for my kids, basically for my kids. I have a few interesting people in my family, and I think I've done a few interesting things. Excuse me. Being engaging and engaged is just as important as aiming for good health while we are in a graceful manner. Reading and watching news is just as important as a healthy diet. This time in our life is perhaps the most important in politics and policies for our country, and never before. Excuse me. I can't even read my own notes. How could I ever expect somebody to read them for me and transcribe script. I'm horrible at printing and writing these days. And that's one thing that happens to you as you grow older. Your hands don't work the way they used to. Okay? You need to do these muscles. And you can get those rubber, I'll show you a rubber ball next show, and the stars that kind of go through your fingers like this. And I know I'm starting to get arthritis in a thumb, and a lot of you may have arthritis in different parts of your body. And there are some little things you can do to exercise these things that will help you that don't take up a lot of room. Of course, I've got my 5-pound weights in my bathroom. So when I get out of the shower, I pick up my 5-pound weights and do my 5-pound exercises to stay strong. On the other hand, my husband doesn't do anything, and there is a huge difference in our health. He's 2 years older than me. He's already turned 80. He'll be 81 in September. And he just lost interest in a lot of things once he retired. And basically, he sits around and watches the news and watches a movie. And I take him places because I can't sit around. I have to be out and doing things. So I got him a walker. Now, if you're having problems walking, a walker is a necessity because you don't want to be locked up in your house all the time or the car or what have you. You need to be out and walking, and you can still do wonderful things. Now, I want to go to the living desert to see all of the different plants we can grow here. They have all the varieties of cacti, everything. And I don't know why I've never gone to it before, but here I am after having spent lots of times in the Coachella Valley before. I've never done that. So I want to do that. That's a local thing to do. Most big cities have lots of museums, and you can learn so many things and enjoy so many wonderful paintings and sculptures, and get your girlfriends or your guy friends and take an afternoon to go do that. When was the last time you did that? I did it about 6 months ago with my kids, with my grandkids, the little ones, up in Santa Barbara, because Santa Barbara has a wealth of wonderful museums, and so many of them are so good for children. So we went to see the ones about the animals in the valley and who had developed, not the valley, excuse me, in the Santa Barbara area, and who had developed it into what it is today, and showed you all the animals from owls and coyotes to the zoo that they have done there with all the big animals like you want to see all the time. Lovely things for the children to interact with. There's also a mariners museum down by the pier. I love to do things like that. I used to love to go to San Francisco and walk around and go down by the piers and see the boats come in with the crab and do all that in their museums. And then I got into the Pittsburgh ones when I lived in Pittsburgh. So there's a lot of things to do. And if you don't want to go by yourself, grab somebody to go with you and they'll discover a whole new world with you. So it's interesting to do things like that. If you refrain, then don't complain. And that's what I'm talking about. Whether you are conservative, liberal, independent, libertarian, you are more alive if you can discuss or debate in a respectful manner with friends and family. And why I'm saying that is these midterms that are coming up and the primaries before them, these are so important, more important than ever before. I am appalled at the number of communists that are running for office and probably will win because they won their primaries by such a margin. I don't want communism over here. And if you know anything about communism, you wouldn't want it either. All right. It's not the right thing. I've spoken on this before, and I don't want to take up all the time doing it, but just look at what is happening with Mandami in New York City. He's confiscating people's condominiums, their penthouses, and letting other people live in it. That's disgusting. Of course, in the hotels in New York City, they took the lovely, lovely small boutique hotels and put the homeless in it, and nobody was compensated for this. Isn't this the place that we want to live because we have the ability to live the American dream? I am aghast, particularly this man running in Maine. Tell me about that. He's running for the Senate. He's got a Nazi tattoo. He was abusive to women. He suffers from PTSD, apparently. I don't know. And there's PTSD is not something you ask for, it's not a choice. But it doesn't have to make you totally a communist. That doesn't go hand in hand with PTSD. And you can go and get some help with PTSD, get some therapy and what have you. It's a PTSD is a horrible, horrible thing. So I can't think why this man is even running, but he beat the people competing against him. So he will be in the midterm running against the Republican. Now, I'm not saying I don't want him because he's a Democrat and she's a Republican. I'm saying you don't want somebody who's going in there who's outright disgusting. Look it up for yourself. It's 3 women have come forward and complained about his sexual abuse. Terrible, terrible. So if you're going to discuss politics and all, do it in a polite manner, and it's always discussing about the country that we love. And it's far more interesting than many who were taught to never discuss the forbidden subjects of religion and politics. So have your discussion and your debate and enjoy it and think about how great America is. And that is just one direction you can go in when you are aging. And you might find that you want to become one of the leaders in one of these political parties. So, do you pay attention to what's going on in the country? Do you have any opinion on Tom Brady and Giselle? They're split. Do you have an opinion on e-cars, the draft, and the hurricanes in Florida, the drought? We have a lot of weather problems in our country, and that's because we're so huge. I mean, you get hurricanes in Hawaii, and you get freezing cold. I'm not even sure. Frozen places in Alaska. I don't know what they get. Maybe they get earthquakes, or I don't know. My husband's been there. He could tell me, but I haven't been there, so I don't know. But when you're going out and you're trying to get together with some new people, and particularly we women, we like to have girls' lunches and talk about all things. And sometimes it turns into a little bit of gossip, and good gossip is good. I mean, you found out that so-and-so's husband died and you didn't know it, and that you can commiserate with her and try to comfort her, and that kind is sad. But when you want to gossip about the one who just downsized to this fabulous place in Miami and is making new friends, be thrilled for her and discuss it with her. And maybe you want to move that way too. I don't know. It's hard to decide what you want to do when you're single. Maybe you still have responsibilities at home after you have lost a spouse, and maybe you're taking care of another family member and you don't have a lot of free time. Or maybe this other family member can go places with you and you can take trips with them and go to the museums and all. Oh, my paralyzed vocal cord is acting up now. But don't be mean. That was when you were in high school or junior high. Don't be a mean girl. Don't say terrible things about your friends. Maybe they're not aging well. Oh, people could see my lopsided face now. I don't know what's gone on. I haven't had a stroke, but I have a lopsided face, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe my Botox up here slipped. I never used Botox until a couple years ago, and then I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have used it. Well, you need energy and good health to participate in all of these blessings that come around in your older age. You know, there's one site on Facebook that is run by some elderly people. And most of the time, they have some good results. Some of them are kind of funny. Be sure you bathe, be sure you brush your teeth. I think everybody should do that. Don't get me wrong. You might want to check it out. I think it's called Elderly Roots, and they do have some good advice. Another one is Life in My 70s. She is, I'm not sure what she did. She has a second husband for some reason, and they go out to dinner and they have wonderful homes. And she was a model, and she talks about that life, and that's fun to hear about that too. They live in Upper New York. Then you have the ladies that are just dancing down the streets, and they're in their 70s and their 80s. There's one who's in her 60s that has the longest legs I've ever seen, and she likes to show them off. So she walks down in her fur coat and then she takes it off and she's dancing and kicking up her heels and all. These people are having fun. I'm not criticizing them. I think it's fun. I don't think you'll see me dancing, but you never know. You never know. And even the men are getting out there. There's two older gentlemen that are twins, and I have no idea what age they are, but they like to sing the old songs and they like to dance together. They marry each other because they're twins. It's fun. So if you have some spare time and you're scrolling, don't just scroll and read all of the devastating news, like the hazardous lockdown at the Pentagon. Don't let it frighten you. It's under control. But before I close in a minute, I just want you to think about all the things you have gone through in your life and have survived and made you a better person. There was the Kennedy assassination. There was COVID. There were horrible earthquakes in California. There was the tsunami in Asia. There was that horrible one thing that just comes to mind all the time that I pray over all the time, were all those little girls that were lost in Texas during the flash floods. Just tremendously horrible. So think about your life. You're lucky. You're lucky you've been here. You're lucky you have put me up here on your podcast. And if you don't like what I'm talking about, you can turn it off. You have freedom of choice. nobody can criticize you. Well, they might try, but you are entering the phase of your life where you are the one who is the expert on life. And you can tell the people when you're going to bed, not if you're going to bed. I don't like to eat and go to bed. So I don't, when we're at home, we don't eat dinner late like we would if we go out. When we go out, we'll go out at 7 o'clock. Maybe have a glass of wine and then order dinner, but lighter than we ever used to do before, and have a chit chat and go home. But when we're at home, I now fix our so-called dinner. We eat kind of strange. We eat very healthy, but we will eat at 2 or 3 o'clock. And sometimes I go to bed at 5, not to go to sleep, to read a book or to watch something on television. I like the Brit Box. You might like it too. I like those mysteries with those great detectives. I went through Agatha Christie when I was in high school, so I don't watch those. And I don't want to go to bed on a full stomach all the time. So that's why we eat earlier. And we might both go to bed at that time. Who knows? And then we get up early. My husband gets up at 3 in the morning and he goes out and watches the sunrise. And it doesn't rise at 3, but he sits out there and watches the moon and the stars. One of the things we are so blessed with here in the Coachella Valley is the sky. Street lights, like you're used to in cities, are prohibited in the Coachella Valley. And why is that? Because we all love the moon and the stars. Yes, we do. And it is unbelievable to be able to walk out on your patio. You know, on my pages, I've often posted things in different parts of the country where we've lived, and it's a lot of taking pictures of the moon or the sun going down or things like this. So I go out and I take pictures of the moon out here and the stars, and you can actually see the different things like Orion's belt, and you can see them that are a little more difficult to see that you can't see with all of the street lights around, or a city like New York. It's really fabulous. I love that. So that's what we do. And what I wanted to tell you is there's a lot of rumors going around about these different coaches that are telling you how to live your life and what you should eat and not eat. And boy, I like what the holistic doctors say and everything. But the more and more that RFK gets into this, the more we're finding out that some of the food we're eating has more pesticides in it and all that you think. So I've gotten on the smoothie, the protein smoothie kick for my husband and me, and we've been on it for like 3 months maybe. And we probably have the smoothie maybe 4 times a week. And the other times we have eggs, fixed all different ways. Omelet, scrambled, poached, you name it, we've had it. And I tried into the smoothie, put the protein powder, a little yogurt, sometimes mango. It kind of makes it creamy. Blueberries, strawberries, and the yogurt. And people always tell you not to drink juice, orange juice and things like that. You buy it in the store, you mix it up, it's got too much sugar in it and all of this. Well, I'm here to tell you that Trader Joe's has fresh squeezed orange juice in the bottle, and it doesn't have any sugar in it. And oranges are good for you. They're full of vitamin C, and they're not bad for you. Somebody said the other day that you can't eat the blueberries. Well, I buy frozen fruit to put in smoothies because, well, for one thing, we eat a lot of it and it's less expensive and it's fresh, flash frozen fruits, strawberries and blueberries. But I was reading an article by somebody who is into holistic healing and all too that said blueberries are the worst things to get and eat because they're full of the pesticides. They're small and they spray them and it seeps into the skin. So buy organic. I don't know. I don't know what it definitely, our health is improving some in the United States. I'd say improving a lot. But oh my gosh, somebody else said you can't eat tomatoes. They're bad for you. And that was a doctor, a heart doctor. And if you look at it, another doctor says eat raw tomatoes. Another one says eat cooked tomatoes. We basically follow the Mediterranean diet. We eat fish. Once in a while, we'll eat beef, but we eat a lot of vegetables and we don't eat a ton of pasta either. But we do occasionally. But instead of the big plate that Mama Louisa or whatever her name is, we don't have a full bowl of pasta. We have a little bit of pasta like this. And that's basically what we're doing. If you get COVID, I'm just going to say this because now they're saying that we're getting COVID again and that it's already in the United States. And I don't believe it. But in case you do, the things you should be taking are vitamin C, B12, D3, zinc, and lysine. Okay? Everybody thinks lysine got a bad rap there for a long time. I guess with sex, drugs, and rock and roll, with herpes and things like that. They discovered that vitamin C was a good one to treat that. And the other one was lysine. Now, lysine will treat anything. It's on the list of things to take for COVID. Magnesium, calcium, red yeast, rice, and CoQ10 rather than statins and chromium picolinate, which helps your sugar levels. So that's how we stay healthy in this house. Walking. I told you about my weights. And now I'll tell you what I ate for dinner last night and leave you on a funny note. I don't know why, but we both started eating ice cream when we moved to the Coachella Valley. Every night, instead of another dessert. Well, we never ate dessert every night anyway. So I don't know why we started this. Well, we would if we went out to a fancy dinner with somebody or just, to a steakhouse with a business associate or ourselves or something. We might have dessert, split it, but not as a regular pattern here. So, but when we moved here, it was so hot and we were unpacking and rearranging the furniture, getting situated. And Lou said, let's get some ice cream. So, of course, we got the half gallons. And it's not real far from us, very far from us to go to the grocery store. So it became a habit. Every night, a bowl of ice cream. Well, I decided this is ridiculous. Thank goodness my blood tests all come out that I'm perfectly healthy and I don't have diabetes or something. So I decided I was going to cut myself off of eating ice cream. So yesterday I went to the store, Trader Joe's, and bought a package of 4 ice cream sandwiches. Came home, said to Lou, I'm not eating ice cream anymore. You can eat your ice cream. Well, what are you going to eat? Me, I'm going to have an ice cream sandwich. So I ate the ice cream sandwich. And then I got some bad news from somebody. And I thought, I'm so stressed out now. I ate another one. And then another one. I ate 3 ice cream sandwiches. I've gone crazy. The Coachella Valley heat and the ice cream got to me and my brain. So no more for me. I'm going to be good. You be good too. And if you get a chance, remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. And don't forget to check out LifeWave for those patches that will help you feel great. Okay, see you next time.